Cage-free and free range actually mean nothing. They're just fuzzy marketing terms.
That is mostly correct.
Cage-free hens only have less than 1 square foot to roam around. They rarely go outside.
Yes.
And they eat a diet of GMO, soy, and corn.
GMOs and proprietary seed tech are not a threat to your health. They can be an occupational hazard to farmers and farm workers who handle them. That's especially a problem in the developing world, where biotech companies are trying to use climate change as an excuse to make places like all of Africa dependent on US seed tech, effectively robbing them of the ability to ever feed themselves on their own. That's pretty evil. Unfortunately, what's happened now is that health nuts have driven non-GMO stuff to such a premium that it costs 2 or 3 times as much for me to get a hold of it to put into animal feed. So even though the non-GMO stuff sometimes costs less to produce than the GMO stuff, now I have to charge more for it because of people making false health claims about it.
Hens aren't supposed to be eating grains. They're supposed to be eating bugs and grass and worms.
Chickens are omnivores. Corn and soybeans are just seeds. Bird seed is a whole thing. They're supposed to eat seeds! Chickens cannot digest the cellulose in grass. They do not have a rumen. They do not eat or digest grass. It is not a part of their diet.
Vegetarian fed hens. Of course they are. All chickens are vegetarians. What are they going to eat? Other chickens?
Time. Did you just poke my nipple? Yeet!
The best kind of eggs you can get are pasture-raised eggs.
Pasture-raised is the way to go, if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, that's all right, man. Just get fed.
These eggs actually have 108 square feet of room to roam around.
That 108 square foot per bird metric sounds a little suspect, because for 108 square feet for this many birds, we'd need an area about 4 times the size of what's inside of here, which would make sense if you're never moving your birds. And here's the problem. If you're not moving your birds, you're probably not really regenerative. They're definitely not moving to new areas where there's going to be more bugs to get that dark yolk that we love so much. All right, what's going to happen is these girls are going to hang out here for a while, and eventually this whole area is going to be almost devoid of insect life because they're going to eat all of it, which is part of the reason we move them. The other part of the reason we move them is to get them off their own feces so that that stuff can start to fertilize the ground instead of piling up and becoming a nitrogen runoff problem in the Potomac River that way and the Rappahannock River that way. If you don't move them and you just give them 2 acres of space where they are technically on pasture, but they're in the same run system all the time, it removes the entire point of them being pasture raised. Except, of course, to put it on a label to dupe consumers who don't know any better.
You'll actually be able to notice a difference in the egg itself. The shell is a little bit harder to crack. The yolk is darker.
Come with me. Gonna open this up. Notice that, yeah, they're brown, but there's a good amount of variation in the color of the shells. Like this one's pretty dark, this one's pretty light. Heck, this one's dang near white. It's almost like there's some kind of biological diversity in here. Anyhow, I'm gonna take the Rainbow Coalition here home for breakfast. Now watch this. Here we are, freshly washed. Fun.
Notice the bright yellow yolk. Next.
Again, a bright yellow yolk. What characterizes the fresh egg is the fact that the whites do not run. The lightest one. Again, bright yellow.
So anyway, don't trust labels. Don't trust influencers promoting labels. Trust people who are actually doing the work.